High-tech trucks are in transit with vile technology and more than 500 horsepower. It is all about driving with the highest precision and energy efficiency. The manufacturers constantly develop new safety features in order to decrease the number of accidents. Nevertheless, trucks are the #1 cause. The accident outcomes are more disastrous for other traffic participants than for truck drivers due to the size and mass of a truck. For every dead truck driver, there are 9 fatally injured passengers. Their risk is more than 4 times as high. And yet, trucks are only involved in 17% of all fatal accidents. High-tech trucks. A horror scenario for every car driver are trucks that drive into the end of a traffic jam. Tiredness, inattention, or driving too close to other road users are the most frequent causes. Only every 10th accident happens because of technical reasons. While the number of truck companies has been increasing, so has the accident frequency. From 1995 to 2011 by around 25%.
It must be the aim of the manufacturers, industry and society to improve every year.
The producers try to minimize the danger of causing an accident with their trucks, a process that cannot be compared to the development of a car, as it takes more than 8 years. Trucks need to last longer due to the fact that they cover longer distances than cars, up to 150,000 kilometers a year. Cars, on the other hand, cover only about 14,000. Trucks also have a number of assistance systems to be prepared for daily traffic.
Safety is becoming more and more in focus now, also for the users of the transports, and they are requiring that trucks are driven in a safe manner. So therefore we are seeing more and more safety features being put into trucks.
The industry pays a lot for safety, for complex crash tests, for example. New trucks are still being manufactured when they are tested and crashed against a wall in high numbers. Looking at the improvement of the new Volvo FH, the Swedish producers go for over 20 different crash tests to check the outcome of an accident, with the help of trucks and dummies. The design department of Volvo Trucks. The development takes more than 5 years from the first virtual stroke to the finished model. It takes several thousand hours and countless modifications until the new high-tech truck is finally finished. A good appearance is essential for the designer. But safety is most important.
It wouldn't feel natural to compromise the safety aspect because of a beauty aspect, if you like. The best design is the one that combines the two. It looks good and it's safe.
As soon as the head designer decides on a draft, a model on a scale of 1 to 14 is created. It is traditionally crafted out of potter's clay by hand. A modern computer program helps the constructor to transcribe visions and innovations, which is still not enough for the real production. The clay model is the original guideline for the 1-to-1 model of the new truck. A good example of a meaningful cooperation of design and function are the rear view mirrors, now attached with slimmer straps. Furthermore, the big frame around the mirror is not necessary anymore.
We have really optimized the mirror glass area and then made sure that we have not added any unnecessary material around. I kept it as slim as possible, mounted it on these very slim arms, and that has, at the same time as it has improved the safety and the visibility, has given them a very special look that makes them very unique and that really complements the design of the rest of the truck.
The headlights are undergoing a change in design as well, by adding new features to improve safety. The idea is to achieve dynamic main headlights for even better vision.
Okay, with the new headlamps we have actually incorporated a very important safety feature in here called the daytime running light, which is an LED lamp here that by law has to be on at all times.
Additionally, there are special bending lights to improve vision even at night. When driving in a curve, the beam is aimed in the driving direction and not straight ahead, as in the past. On average, drivers spend 5 days per week in their cabin while on long-distance journeys. This is the reason why the cabin needs to be perfect, both for driving and relaxing, for every driver, whether short or tall, big or thin. The new cabin is 1 cubic meter bigger and has 300 liters of extra storage. This means more comfort, but also more living space for the driver.
It's more space physically, and then through design, we have really tried to emphasize that as much as possible. So up here in the roof, you see that it's very nice, flowing, simple surfaces. The sun roof here, which is actually a safety hatch, because we now glue the windscreen in order to be able to get out in case you have an accident, you can't get out through the doors. This is a safety hatch, but it also lets in natural light and creates this feeling of space in here.
The view through the roof can look like this, but while driving should only be enjoyed by a fellow passenger and not the drivers themselves. The developers are very proud of the new air condition in the driver's cabin. iPark Cool is the name of the new park cooling system, which guarantees a restorative sleep.
We have to have a good climate, so you really sleep the whole night. And this is an integrated air condition. So it works the whole night with electrical fans. The compressor to the air conditioning system is also electrified. So you have the right climate the whole night without having the engine idling.
Before a high-tech truck like this is produced in series, the people in charge test the stability of the cabin in detail. What happens in case of an accident, and how does the cabin perform after a crash? Everything's documented right down to the last detail. After various simulations, the impact on the stability of the truck after a crash is tested with a collision from a height of 3 meters. The goal is to find the best safety conditions for the driver. It takes about 5 days to turn a roll of steel into a truck. The metal plates are made from very robust steel, the so-called boron steel. They are pressed in 5 steps, so the prefabricated parts can be connected in the best way. The optimized consistency is also a result of the new laser welding method, in which 2 flat plates can be matched before forming. The obvious reduction of the depth of deformation especially improves the safety of the cabin. The vibration test shows how resilient the shafts really are. They are shaken 6 to 8 weeks, 24/7. This correlates to an actual driven distance of more than 1 million kilometers. The new FH hasn't got a single body component from the predecessor. 2,970 screws are needed throughout the manufacturing process. Durability and reliability are most important for the driver and the trucking company. Breakdowns are dangerous and can end up being very expensive. The persistence tests on this special road are also about testing the resilience limits of the truck. In everyday life, the check correlates to a lifespan of 10 years and 1,250,000 driven kilometers. The trucks are tested forcefully. They drive through puddles and water gutters, over hills with a climb of 10 to 20%. And over massive obstacles like potholes and cobblestones.
We do it over millions of kilometers with test trucks, to make sure that the systems are working as they should be doing and not doing things they shouldn't be doing. That's really the big trick, really, to keep away from things that shouldn't happen.
In practice, the accident researchers also test how trucks survive several typical accidents. For example, how dummies react to a lateral rollover.
We're trying to solve the most important accidents first, so the most common accidents, and the rollover stands for 50% of the truck drivers are killed in rollover accidents.
The dummy sitting in the truck has got more than 50 sensors that are carefully evaluated after the crash. The new and so far unique independent wheel suspension improves the driving conditions. The trucks drive over potholes and cobblestones without the driver noticing anything. The front wheels accept any little bump. Straight routes can really be driven in a straight way due to the new technology.
The independent suspension brings us to a new level of handling where you get a very good, stable feeling from the truck. It's very easy to drive even on narrow roads and will help and support the driver.
In order to prove that this is no empty promise, a spectacular advertisement is being produced. A professional stuntwoman, the American slackline world record holder Faith Dickey, slacklines between two trucks that are connected with a rope.
I've highlined much higher than this before. I've highlined on longer lines, and I've highlined in harsher winds, but I've never slacklined moving forward before.
The producers want to demonstrate the good driving conditions and the perfect handling of the new truck, which succeeds in the end. The producers from Hollywood think that the stunt would not have been possible without the new independent wheel suspension. What a success! Because of the perfect driving conditions, both trucks keep the same distance between each other while the stunt takes place. Dynamic steering, the new steering system, promises an even easier way of handling the truck. The system contains electric motors in order to relieve the driver while steering. He thus needs less muscular strength to steer the truck. Dynamic steering guarantees directional stability and precision in any driving situation. It is based on an electrically controlled motor, which is regulated approximately 2,000 times per second to provide very precise steering behavior.
There are three features of Volvo dynamic steering that is beneficial for the driver. The first one is the low steering wheel force required at low speed. The second one is the disturbance reaction. And the third one is the steering wheel returnability when reversing.
The driver has to work far more in a standard truck without the dynamic steering than in a truck that has the system implemented. Thanks to the dynamic steering system, the truck driver's muscular effort is reduced by 20%.
Also, when I reverse, it requires very little effort to steer the vehicle. I can let the steering wheel slide back in my hands.
However, the new dynamic steering system is not only a relief on flat roads for the drivers.
Imagine that we are in a timber truck in the forest. Since the road is very uneven, it's very beneficial to have the disturbance reaction. Volvo dynamic steering will keep the front wheels straight if the driver doesn't apply any torque to the steering wheel. So the software is controlling the electric motor about 2,000 times per second. So it's very responsive to external disturbances.
The driver is more relaxed, the stress on his neck and shoulders decreases, and fewer accidents occur. A hamster is used to demonstrate how easy it is to steer the truck with the new steering system. Charlie, who only weighs 175 grams, is supposed to steer the truck out of the Spanish quarry.
Oh, and don't forget this, very important.
we're doing this for real. The hamster can really steer the truck. So it's quite amazing. You wouldn't think it would be possible, but I assure you, it really is possible. He steers the truck.
The professional stunt driver guides the hamster through the wheel just with the help of a carrot. Gradually, the truck is steered from the bottom of the quarry over the stony hills up to its peak. The people responsible for this are filled with enthusiasm. And yet, this is not the end. The Swedes were also able to convince action star Jean-Claude Van Damme.
The trucks will be placed closely together, and you will be standing on the side mirrors, 1 foot on each mirror.
Right.
The trucks will move backwards. After a while, they will slowly separate, and you will perform one of your famous splits with 1 foot on each side mirror.
On each side mirror of each truck.
Yes.
And they're gonna open up?
They're gonna open up slowly, so you have plenty of time to perform the split.
Yeah, but wait a second. I mean, if they keep on opening up, I can fall down
yes,
to the ground.
But
so they have...
after a while, they will stop opening up and they will keep the distance.
At first, the Hollywood star is skeptical and wants to form his own opinion about the alleged straight-on driving qualities of the trucks. In the end, he is convinced.
I've had my ups and downs, my fair share of bumpy roads and heavy winds. That's what made me what I am today. Now I stand here before you. What you see is a body crafted to perfection. A pair of legs engineered to defy the laws of physics. And a mindset to master the most epic of splits.
Due to the new steering technology, the drivers of both trucks can match their distance very precisely and keep the same speed, all while driving backwards. In the opinion of the people in charge, Jean-Claude Van Damme's fitness as well as the driver's skills are essential for the stunt's success. But it would not have been possible without the Volvo dynamic steering in the first place. Despite every progress in technology, more than a third of all truck accidents are rear-end collisions. The consequences of these unbraked collisions are shown by the crash test performed by the ADAC. The Swedes put a lot of extra electronic safety components in the new truck to prevent accidents and to protect the lives of the truck drivers and other road users more effectively. One of the most important technological assistants is the so-called emergency brake assistant. Via camera and radar, the system warns about a possible crash and brakes independently. Development engineers carefully test the new system in order to make it work in a real-life situation.
In a collision with a car in a traffic jam, it is of course the car which takes the brunt of it, because the truck runs a lower risk with its mass.
The system should help if the driver isn't paying attention, About 90% of all truck accidents are caused by human failure due to distraction or excessive speed.
We want to get the attention of the driver back on what the driver should be doing. But if the driver fails in seeing the situation, the truck will then automatically put on the brakes and do an emergency braking, so it stops before hitting the object in front of him.
The system records cars and trucks, regardless of whether they are stationary or driving, and prevents crashes with speed differences of up to 70 kilometers an hour. If the system sees a vehicle, the emergency program will be activated immediately.
Very happy because it showed that the system works exactly as it should do.
The next step has already been taken. How is it possible to maneuver a truck if, for instance, the driver overlooks stationary traffic? As a consequence, the braking distance is insufficient despite the emergency brake assist, and hectic steering makes things worse. If necessary, the new evasive maneuver assist system, EMA for short, takes over. The assistance function recognizes whether an activated emergency stop will be sufficient. If a collision cannot be prevented, activated by a steering impulse to the left or the right, the EMA directs the truck to the next free traffic lane independently and safely, even at maximum speed.
The technology can't push through all by itself, because some businessmen are reserved due to the price it comes with and are therefore not willing to pay this additional price.
Experts in the field of accidents estimate that with the help of this system, up to 2,500 lives could be saved in Europe. 350 hands work on the cabin of the new FH until it is completely mounted. The centerpiece of the new Colossus is the engine, which fulfills the strict Euro 6 norm and produces clean exhaust fumes. In comparison to its predecessor, it runs more smoothly, thanks to many electronic components. However, the different trial measures are much more complex. The Swedes make the most expensive tests worldwide. In this case, the scientists want to know the consequences of a frontal crash of two trucks. Depending on the equipment, the giants weigh between 7,500 and 12,500 kilograms. These test results must be integrated in traffic as quickly as possible in order to make it safer. A lot of accidents happen because the truck drivers get tired or lose their concentration. The lane-keeping support turns on at 60 kilometers an hour and controls the position in the lane. If the truck touches the lines on the road, the driver will get an alarm signal.
The system has identified that I'm driving over the traffic lane without using the indicator light, and this is when I get this acoustic warning as a hint that I left the traffic lane without using the indicator light. If I use the indicator light and drive over the lane again, I'm leaving the lane voluntarily, and I won't get a warning signal.
In the EU, the lane-keeping support has been required in all new trucks that weigh more than 3.5 tons since the 1st of November 2015. Not required, but certainly reasonable, is this adaptive cruise control. It adapts the speed and distance to the vehicle driving ahead and keeps a safe distance.
Here you can see that the adaptive cruise control system spotted a truck driving in front of us and automatically adapts to its pace in the traffic lane, distance included. This means I have a chosen pace of 80 kilometers per hour. The truck in front of me drives at 50 at the moment and accelerates now, and I keep the same pace as this vehicle with a safe pre-chosen distance.
If another slow vehicle drives in front of the truck will automatically brake and adapt its speed and distance to the vehicle in front of it. The highlight, The latest developments of these adaptive cruise control systems automatically keep a safe distance to the vehicle in front throughout all paces, which in this case also involves stopping and driving off again. Besides relieving the driver, the development of these electronic assistance systems, which was initially intended for cars only, also comes with a higher safety standard. Back to the production. Before the truck is supplied to the customer, all new systems are going to be tested numerous times. For example, a warning system that monitors the truck driver's tiredness. The truck informs its drivers when they should take a break and controls the driving behavior. If it seems as if drivers are getting tired, they will be informed by a warning signal on the display and are urged to pause.
And when you get tired, then you tend to sway a little, and then you will kind of wake up and maneuver very hard. The system will then detect that, and it will then, after a couple of these things, it will then say, warn you, and come up with a light and say, time for a break, time for a cup of coffee.
Since 2014, the regulation of driving dynamics, called ESP, has been required. It helps when the truck starts skidding out of control and is on the verge of overturning. The electronic stability program is provided with 3 sensors. A central unit calculates all current measurements that it receives. If they do not fit each other, the brakes on one or more wheels will be activated. At the same time, the power of the engine is automatically reduced. Slippery roads during winter can turn out to be a challenge for trucks with a heavy load. Even very skilled drivers can get in danger when the trailer swings off. The so-called jackknifing phenomenon is very dangerous for the driver and the oncoming traffic. Johan Stunt-based often drives heavy-loaded trucks on narrow streets in the woods. He learned about the problem the hard way.
It can happen from time to time and gives you a huge shock. You feel like being on a roller coaster and you lost control. Jackknifing is a very dangerous situation. The consequences can be loss of control over the vehicle, or shearing out of line, injuries, damaged vehicles, or even deadly accidents. The problem is that the situation is very hard to control.
But what exactly is the jackknifing phenomenon?
Jackknifing happens between truck and trailer. It is an evil phenomenon where the trailer is pushed forwards while braking and ends next to the truck.
In order to avoid any kind of risk, Volvo Trucks developed a new braking system, the so-called stretch brake.
This system will brake the trailer automatically if it is activated by the driver. When the driver throttles the system, the trailer will be slowed down automatically so that the truck and the trailer stay straight in line and there is no chance of jackknifing.
Thanks to the new brake system, the trailer will remain in sync with the truck even in tricky situations. And that makes driving for truckers much more relaxed.
Stretch brake is extremely important for us because it is a problem that drivers have where the drawbar is pushing when going downhill, and with this we can now help them to control it in a very good way. Stretch brake is something that will give the driver a feeling of more security, really, that he knows what he's doing, he can control the vehicle in a very good way.
50% of the truck drivers still don't put on their seatbelts. Fatal accidents are declining since the beginning of the 90s, but much more lives could be saved if more drivers would belt up.
I'd say one of the major things is that we still can't get all truck drivers to understand that they should be wearing their seatbelt. If they were wearing their seatbelt, a truck is probably one of the safest working places to be in, but you need to have your seatbelt on.
This is also shown by a DEKRA crash test. Already at a speed of 30 kilometers an hour, test dummies not wearing a seatbelt can be catapulted through the front windshield. And even if they survive, they would be overrun by the following traffic. All test dummies at Volvo wear seatbelts. Otherwise, the complex technology would be useless. With or without a seatbelt, the blind spot remains a serious danger despite an improved mirror sight. In the blind spot, cars, bicyclists or pedestrians can easily be overseen, often with disastrous consequences known by every truck driver. The lane change assistant watches the area the truck is going to drive into as soon as the driver indicates. If a car or a cyclist happens to be within this area, the system gives the driver an acoustic and a visual warning signal.
When the driver wants to turn right and there is a vehicle in the blind spot on the right side, the driver gets an acoustic and visual warning signal.
This system could prevent nearly every 10th accident.
It's difficult to really see if you have cars or other traffic on your close side, and especially towards the area of the front right wheel. There's an area there that it's not completely blind, but it's difficult to see. There is a radar that fires up sideways, looks at that area and sees if there is a car or an object there. It will then trigger an alarm inside the truck to help and support the driver.
When it comes to safety, these experts are operating day and night, the staff of accident research. They analyze accidents and draw conclusions for design and further development. Since 1969, the researchers have analyzed more than 1,500 accidents and installed a large database that is often used to improve safety.
It's probably something when parking or something like that, they've hit something that was sticking out like that. Now, looking at that, we then can go into the computer on the truck, and look at data there and see if we can understand further what actually has happened.
If possible, the researchers also work with truck drivers who survived a serious accident. Yngve Johansson donated blood before going to work 6 months ago, with disastrous consequences.
I felt really bad. Then I fainted and my truck crashed into a bridge pier. The cab was separated from the chassis and was catapulted onto the other side of the road. Then a car drove into the cab. I found myself with a car tire in my face.
Johansson talks about everything that happened in detail. The experts evaluate it to eventually develop further assistance systems.
We heard about this accident and immediately we then send one of our accident research teams down there. The perfect thing to hear now is that we could also ask the driver. We could ask Yngve exactly what happened and he could explain and tell us. And this is an invaluable input to our research and future products.
Johansson was in rehab for 6 months after the accident and had to learn how to walk again and how to move his arms. Nevertheless, a few months later, the father of 2 children was behind the wheel again. He felt safe after the positive outcome and doesn't want to stop driving trucks.
The crash caused my cervical to be fractured, meaning a broken neck. Later on, my doctor told me that normally only 40% of the people who have this kind of injury survive such an accident. I think of it every day, and I am endlessly thankful that I'm still alive.
In order to avoid accidents, the haulage contractors and drivers regularly test the new trucks in detail. The trucks are available for the guests in all varieties, including a driving instructor to explain all the new features.
The new trucks have so many new safety system, and they have many new components in the truck, so some of them is skeptic in the beginning.
Guests come from all parts of Europe to Gothenburg to test the new trucks. A few are skeptical at first due to the many assistance systems.
The first reaction is, wow, so many new things, but it just takes some laps here, a few laps, and then you recognize the system. After a while, they love just a new truck.
Efficiency, safety, automation and networking changed the mobility in all branches of the industry. This can also clearly be seen in the field of logistics, where the growing parcel market demands new solutions along the entire supply chain to meet the increasing demand or increasing pressure due to rising costs. Digitalization and intelligently planned tours make new and highly individual delivery concepts possible. The intense network and automation of systems and functions can considerably promote the efficiency and safety of processes at company depots and reloading hubs. In the past, collisions often led to expensive damage to vehicles or even a breakdown, and therefore needlessly prolonged the loading and unloading procedure. Starting point for this is a concept that was already introduced in 2014, which made it possible to maneuver a long truck by tablet. Nowadays, the person who operates the tablet just has to trigger or maintain the automatic steering process. The truck and the depot are connected to the autonomous steering function Safe Range. Stationary cameras capture the truck in question, which has only been marked with a target on its rear end. Sudden obstructions will be recognized by the system, whereupon unnecessary accidents will be avoided. A computer that is installed at the depot calculates and transmits the data via wireless LAN to the onboard unit in the truck. At this point, the vehicle control system takes over and leads the truck accurately and safely to the ramp. The engineers test the wind resistance of the new Colossus in this futuristic hall. It is relevant for safety that the truck really is aerodynamically sound. The wind tunnel is situated in Canada. Due to the large fan, more wind can easily be produced than in standard facilities.
The base of low or improved aerodynamics is to have flat surfaces, no gaps and so on in the surface, but it's not always optimal from a design perspective. So designers would like to have something, and from an aerodynamic perspective, they would like to have something else. So it's an optimization between those two areas.
The researchers in Sweden use another wind tunnel in order to simulate extreme climate situations on European roads. Wind speeds of up to 90 kilometers an hour, as well as heat of up to 55 degrees Celsius. The experts arranged for about 50 tests for the development of the new Volvo FH alone. In all, a testing period of more than 2 years.
We are doing this kind of test to avoid any risk for causing accidents out on the field or for our customers. We have this rig where we can simulate extreme conditions, the most extreme conditions you could find out on the fields, out up in the hills or whatever conditions you have. You can simulate that here in this test chamber.
The truck has to run through extreme situations in reality as well, on bumpy roads in Queensland, South Australia. Down under, the researchers check on the driving behavior and maneuverability at extreme temperatures of more than 40 degrees Celsius and on miserable road conditions. In this area, there are 40 degrees Celsius as well, but minus 40 degrees Celsius on the winter testing area in Kiruna, North Sweden. The drivers use the test vehicles as if they were their own trucks. They sleep in the cabin and check if the truck starts up straight away after a freezing night. Every truck runs 20,000 kilometers minimum under these freezing conditions.
If we are talking about summer expeditions, we are driving in hills and trying to various conditions with different moisture, different heating and so on, and trying to press the vehicles to find if there is any errors.
The producers of this video could not afford to make any mistakes.
Hello, my name is Claes Nilsson, president of Volvo Trucks. I've learned that when you want to make a YouTube hit, you need a hook at the beginning of the film. And here it is. This is a hook from the new Volvo FMX. Made of cast iron, and it holds up to 32 tons. That's far more than this, so you don't need to worry. In fact, you don't need to worry about anything. The new Volvo FMX is the most robust truck we've ever made.
More than once did Nilsson ask himself what he was getting himself into, just to prove to the world how loadable the towing device of this construction site truck really is. It's so loadable, he trusts it with his life.
That was okay. Survived. That was good. That was good. Yeah, no problem. The wind and the cold. It was nice.
No other truck producer has done anything similar so far. Noise can be a potential cause for accidents as well. Furthermore, it can make people sick. In this sound cabin, all noises are recorded with super sensitive microphones. The researchers want to know how noisy trucks are, for example for residents that live next to busy streets. They also decode the noises coming from the truck itself that can be heard in the cabin and which could distract the driver while cruising.
The focus on the noise inside is to reduce the noise level for the driver so he can be focused on driving.
Permanent and overloading noise is pure stress, and stress causes accidents. With the support of thick protective insulation, aerodynamic design and new mufflers, noises can be reduced. Fatal injuries are not uncommon when it comes to rear-end collisions, partly caused by inadequate under-ride guards. In the event of an impact with a truck, the passenger of this car wouldn't stand a chance to survive. He would be impaled.
The under-ride guard systems must get more solid. Only this way can the car passengers be better protected.
If a frontal crash with a car happens, the under-ride guard of the truck will have to minimize the consequences of the accident as much as possible.
The car and the truck are not meeting each other fully. And as you see here, the car is slightly outside the truck, which means that 25% of the car does not hit the truck. And this is a normal, unfortunately normal situation where you have a frontal collision.
14 high-speed cameras are used while an accident test takes place. Even here, where elaborate crashes are caused regularly, everyone is still on the edge.
Yeah, I think you're always a little nervous here when you do some true testing like this and hope that everything is going to work as we expect it to do.
In this test, the truck drives with 35 kilometers an hour, the car with 55. Afterwards, a lot of work is still left for the scientists to analyze. The under-ride guard in the front primarily serves the purpose of saving the car driver in case of a collision with the truck. In comparison to the old guard, the new one distorts itself twice as much and works like an additional nose.
The chances are great the driver will definitely survive this. It's a massive impact, and you've seen here that the whole engine compartment is being pushed together here, and you would think that it's been pushed inside the car itself. But if you look inside here, you will see that, yes, it has been pushed a little in here. There might be some injuries to the legs of the driver, but apart from that, you're intact. It's fantastic that you can actually survive a crash at this speed.
The Swedish scientists are currently working on systems to prevent frontal crashes of cars and trucks. Here, it's about how a truck driver reacts if a car comes towards him. How do test persons react to the truck's different warning signals? There's an acoustic one, a haptic and a visual one, a so-called heads-up system.
Additionally, there is a warning signal. If the driver doesn't react to it at first, the truck will brake a little, and in case of an emergency, it will brake fully until the truck comes to a standstill.
32 test persons passed a simulation test. After the analysis, another testing area is used, and only after that it is tested on the streets.
When you're in a truck, it's a very safe place, and even if you have a collision with a car, you know, as a truck driver, it doesn't really hurt you or damage you in that way, more than psychologically. Therefore, it's very important for us to make sure that we take care of the car drivers, because they are the ones that really get the most hurt in an accident with a larger vehicle.
The innovative truck's consumption is lower too. The Volvo can be equipped with cruise control, which can retrieve basic information topographically and through doing so save diesel fuel while driving. The so-called IC system saves up to 5%.
The IC2 is a very smart system to save fuel, where the truck itself looks at the road and the topography of the road, where it's going up and down, and it will then record the road. It will then also send this to a cloud, so when the next truck comes along that has this system, they can download it from the cloud, and then this truck will know exactly how to climb the hill in the most fuel efficient way.
Almost exactly 1 year after its introduction on the market, the new Volvo FH model was voted International Truck of the Year 2014 by leading utility vehicle journalists. It has therefore been the third time that the Volvo FH was the International Truck of the Year. The model was already awarded with this title in 1994 and 2000. Claes Nilsson accepted the award during the festivities of the Comtrans Fair in Moscow. These days you can't have motorsport without high-tech. Via long-distance control, innumerable data are checked by the technicians, an important part of race tactics. One example, perfect timing for a pit stop. Technology like this is part of the new truck too. Workshops can check the state of the vehicle via long-distance control. With a telematic gateway, wastage or situations are checked and the error codes are picked out via the GSM net. The shop can control component parts continuously, which guarantees ideal maintenance intervals.
Today, when we service a truck, we estimate a planned driving conditions. But then the customer may use it more and drive in the more heavy conditions. Now we can actually read out the real usage from the truck, so we can service the truck when it's really necessary.
Modern mobility minimizes breakdowns, provides higher reliability, and lowers the administrative expenses of the carrier. And if a truck is driven any other way than planned, maintenance intervals can be changed appropriately. Brake linings, for example. Abraded parts are changed in time so they don't fail when the vehicle drives long distances.
And this we see a great opportunity in the future. Today we have a few parameters, but in the future that will become more and more. So more or less everything that you can do today in the workshop, you can do it remotely. The purpose of this is to give more uptime to our customer.
From Volvo Trucks' point of view, the mechanic is always on the road with the truck in case problems occur. Volvo engages itself in another special vehicle network too. Every participant follows the head vehicle automatically after docking. Via camera and radar, trucks and cars are controlled. Exchange of data happens via radio. The network imitates the leader, so to speak, speeds up, hits the brakes and therefore steers in the same way. Here, 4 cars are following the truck with a distance of only 6 meters at a speed of 85 kilometers an hour during a successful test.
I think what we will be seeing in the future is that we will be getting smarter vehicles. So we will be using more of the telematics. Vehicles will start to talk to each other. They'll be starting to talk to the infrastructure. They will get information. If one truck has passed a road and it's a little slippery, the truck will itself identify that and send that data to the next truck that's coming along.
Not only accident researchers, but designers too are constantly thinking about what the truck of the future should look like. Generally speaking, appearance is important, but the safety of the driver always has priority.
Safety, of course, is going to be more and more important in the future. I think there will be less and less acceptance of dangerous trucks on the road as it gets more congested. Visibility for the driver is, of course, the critical part to make sure that the driver has a good overview of the road.
High-tech will also help to make the growing traffic safer in the future. But man, the #1 safety risk remains. The responsibility still lies with the driver.